First of all, wow, what a turnout. If I wasn't nervous 10 minutes ago, I'm nervous now. Today we're going to talk about Nosto, obviously. We're going to start out with a little bit of a background on what the company does, if you have no idea who we are or what we do. And then we're going to go forward into 3 different products that we just launched last week, which we hope will transform retail as we know it. First of all, my name is Valter Andersson, and I work as a product manager at Nosto. And Nosto as a company...
Valter?
Yes?
Can you speak up, please?
Yes, Stig, I can. Good. So, Valter Andersson, product manager at Nosto. Let's start over. Nosto is a Finnish company started in 2011, and over the years after launching our first product in 2013, we've now grown into a quite global company with around 120 employees across 7 offices worldwide. And I'm going to walk through the products that we have in our portfolio today and the ones we've launched last week as well. But first we have to start out with the kind of infamous "we work with big name brands" slide, which is pretty good. But let's first start talking about why you would need to personalize anything, personalizing e-commerce in general. So the whole kind of reason why Nosto was founded in the first place. Personalization boils down to the concept of showing different things to different customers who are interested in different things. So, for example, in our very multicultural example, Heikki is interested in ice hockey, looking for NHL merchandising, and is a first-time visitor. But then again, Mike from New York, he loves sneakers, he's very brand-driven, and he just added Nike sneakers in his cart. These are 2 extremely different shopping journeys that need to be taken into consideration when personalizing your e-commerce store, right? So kind of tailoring the message towards different users. The first problem is identifying the users, but then also to controlling the experience that you are showing to different subsets of users. So there's a bunch of, let's say, use cases that can be solved immediately, and some that will require larger strategical changes as well. There's 3 kind of high-level challenges that we at Nosto have set out to kind of tackle. And I would assume that you can resonate with most of these challenges as well. If not, please shout out. The biggest one is that customers interact at different touch points. So you might have a customer coming in on a mobile phone, you might have a customer in an offline store, you might have someone viewing an email, never clicking a link, or they might click the email and come back and do something else. Tracking this kind of full funnel interactions across all touch points that you have is more or less a data topic. Second one, which is very kind of tightly related into the first point, is that data is more or less locked away in silos. E-commerce platform has certain subsets of data, Nosto has something, and then an email service provider might have something completely different. And there might be segments across all of these channels as well. And our kind of mission is to more or less unify that data and make it available on our platform, and to make it actionable immediately. So that's one thing that we always take into consideration when we kind of launch new products or start development on new products, is how can we actually make this something that an e-commerce store will use? So not just showing you data or showing you segments or whatever, but actually taking that information and just clicking a button to do something. So the solution today more or less looks like this. So we have a platform with an online store that's connected to Nosto. So we are a SaaS company, which means that our service is kind of cloud-driven, and you implement it once, and kind of all the data sits on our servers. And we ingest data from different sources. So, for example, from Facebook and Instagram, which is one feature set we also have. From the website, what people are searching for, how they're interacting with products after searching. Ratings and reviews, what products are popular, what products are not popular. And going into email, what happens on the email service providers, and then finally tying it all together with the brick and mortar store as well. So the first problem, kind of how to unify all the data that is locked into silos. That's one of the main problems that we're trying to solve. So going into more or less the complete feature set that we've had up until last week. On-site product recommendations, which is kind of our bread and butter, the first product that we launched in 2013, still very much developed and going strong, which most of our customer base uses as well. So essentially, bridging the gap from your product catalog and user behavioral events into widgets that can be kind of controlled in different ways to show different products as well. Moving forward, we branched out into personalized emails back in 2014. So we have both a solution that sends out emails from our system and also something called email widgets, which we can throw into other third-party email service providers. So that kind of makes it a little bit easier to send that perfect, we have a sale on category X. I want products from category X based on this person's behavioral interests. Just throw them in there. Third one, on-site pop-ups. We're talking more or less about personalization as a kind of revenue driver, which also takes into consideration conversion optimization quite heavily. And that's where pop-ups is a logical kind of extension, not being, let's say, hyper-personalized, but more rule-driven. And fourth, Facebook and Instagram ads, which kind of ties the on-site behavioral data with Facebook's advertisement solution to kind of make a seamless kind of disconnect from social to website and the other way around. So this was Nosto up until kind of last week. So now everyone should be fairly kind of on the roadmap on who we are and what we do. But what we've done last week is we've launched more or less we bundled them into 3 different products, where the first one is called Insights. So Insights is more or less a place in the Nosto dashboard where we can see a lot of good data points on what categories or brands, for example, drive the most revenue per visit, which categories and brands has the best AOV, the best average visit value, and how does abandoned cart rate differ across different campaigns, different categories, different brands. Going a little bit forward, we can drill down to things like top products, for example, because your Nike fans have, let's say, very different affinities towards certain products than your Adidas fans or your loyal Under Armour fans, for example. And similarly, kind of the idea with the Insights as a standalone product is to be a strategical tool where a merchant can easily go in and find kind of different subsets which work well or which doesn't work well but still have relatively good margins, for example. So identifying new opportunities for growth is what the Insights as a product is kind of all about. To kind of make that next kind of strategical decision. Should I focus on, cardigans from Nike or should I focus on sneakers from Adidas? Which one deserves my attention at the current stage? And that's kind of where the segmentation comes in. So Insights in themselves would be a little bit less interesting unless you could actually bucket them into different segments as well, right? So let's take an example of segmentations that you could, for example, do. Is this a first-time visitor or a loyal customer? Is this person from the UK or from Japan? Or is this person interested in Adidas or Nike? And these can all be combined, which means that, give me a segment of my most loyal customers coming from Japan who are interested in Nike. And then we can see kind of the insights for that particular segment. What was their average order value compared to store baselines? What was their average visit value compared to store baselines? And you get the point. So an example of kind of the signals that we collect for this is more or less kind of you go into a brand page, you click on Adidas, you go in, you select maybe a certain size, we get the size affinity, you go into a product, then you find kind of the product information, and again, kind of looking at the recommended products from Nosto, you go into another product. We have fairly strong signals toward Adidas at this point already. So we know that kind of this is a person viewing products in size M who was interested in Adidas shirts. That's kind of the base around the behavioral intelligence in segmentation, where traditionally segmentation has been done more or less by transactional data. So how many Norwegian crowns did I spend last year? What is my customer lifetime value? But the transactional data only takes into consideration around 1.5% of your shopper's kind of actions on the store. These have been kind of taken out from the top, I would say it was top 100 something Nosto clients over a year. So where we compared the transactional data with the on-site behavioral data, and we just kind of realized this is a kind of huge opportunity to take this into consideration when doing segments. And with segments, you can kind of quite easily, obviously a little bit of strategical work required, but map out where your clients are dropping off in their customer loyalty journey as well. So the first time I come in, I'm the first time visitors. How can we kind of move me forward from that funnel and reduce bounce? Once you become a returning visitor or a prospect, how can we actually help you make that kind of final leap to buy? When I'm a returning customer, how can we take care of those? And when you're a loyal customer, should we take extra special care of these people? These are essentially the people who are kind of driving 60% of our revenue. Well, depends on store, but. So a couple of applications that could be, for example, done. First-time buyers. What we could do is kind of skip the discount pop-up for first-time buyers, for example. We know they already bought. They don't need more incentives. Returning customers, we could do something a little bit more relevant. Welcome back. Looks like you could use some new tennis gear because you're affiliated towards tennis at this stage. Or for prospects, maybe we could kind of more prominently showcase shipping information or something else that would kind of help those prospects take that next step. Because if you're kind of if you're based in Svalbard and buying something from Oslo, it doesn't get delivered next day, right? So, this is separated by kind of two different segmentations kind of on top of the engine. So we have the custom segments that kind of can be created themselves, mix and matching different rules. So Nike client from Japan, loyal customer. And then we have a bunch of automated segments where we've done quite a bit of investing into kind of AI and machine learning and kind of try to figure out what does your store really need to focus on. So coming with proactive recommendations such as, you should focus on your loyal customers from Spain, or you should work on this segment, to kind of help a little bit in that strategical journey, which is not easy. And how these are kind of action done, the segments. I promise you actionability. Once you create a segment, you can easily sync them to Facebook and through Google Analytics also to AdWords, which means that you can kind of tailor the same messaging in store and off store. So if a customer would be interested in Nike and be a loyal customer, hey, let's do a Facebook campaign for that particular segment. And if it's a segment that's spending a lot of money in the store, let's do a lookalike on that audience, for example. Try to get in more high value, big spenders. Other actionability is kind of how to kind of do the whole mobile experience through Nosto as well, kind of do these on-site recommendations which take into account kind of your segmentation journey coming back on a mobile, being able to immediately kind of showcase something relevant there. So there's a little example of, I'm interested in yoga, I come to the sports center, let's show me kind of Halasana yoga mats in a kind of neat little slider. Third one, email again. Throw in the email widgets into some email service provider like MailChimp or .mailer to kind of tailor the messaging even further when they're not in the store. And then the fourth one, we could also do some sort of, let's say, landing pages whenever you kind of come in from a certain, being in a certain segment. And that's the third and the final product. So we've also launched something called content personalization, which if you look at kind of this store, this is an example sports center store that sells everything from Halasana yoga mats to, you know, outdoor stuff, to Nike sneakers, etc. I mean, there's multiple stores like this. It could even be, you know, Intersport for as an example. But if you look at two different user personas, if we first start with our fictional Zoe, who is from California, US, and she is into yoga. She loves the yoga brand Halasana. She comes in and she looks at more yoga mats and more kind of, you know, water bottles from Halasana and stuff like that. And she hasn't yet converted, so she's not a customer. And then we look at Zach, who's from Oregon, US. He is kind of this bearded hipster, just like me, who likes to go to the big outdoors. And, you know, he still hasn't converted either. Let's kind of look at how we should treat these two people differently. So obviously, Zoe should get the Halasana treatment, but Jack should definitely get the outdoors treatment. And this is what the content personalization suite is all about. Changing content, either one thing, two things, or everything, based on those segments. So here we, for example, adjusted the navigation bar. I'm not sure if you can actually see it, but here we have yoga, fitness, barre, Pilates, nutrition. And for Zach, we have hiking, climbing, kayaking, camping, and fishing. The hero banner, as you can see, it's very different. The outdoors guy is, you know, outdoors. And the kind of the yoga personality is doing yoga. The product recommendations are extremely different. Here we show the Halasana products. There we show the kind of the outdoor stuff. Also the relevant video, which could be used on the front page to kind of gather trust and get the prospect excited. And then also you can curate blog posts, add banners, change the logos, and do a whole treatment if you'd like. That's more or less it. So this is what we launched last week, and we have a bunch of beta merchants who've been with us for quite some time already, live with this. And yeah, I mean, I'm here today, all day. Jacob, you could put your hand up. Yes, Jacob is also here today. So if you have any kind of questions on, you know, what was the guy talking about, just come ask me. Or how could this benefit my business? Just come ask me or Jake. And we can sit down and look at the store and figure it out together.